So some interesting interaction
this is a really funny thing that happened, by the way.
Had with the inmates from over the chain link. Tell me about it, Alex.
All right, so earlier today I was reporting outside these prison walls when all of a sudden I heard my name, and I couldn't tell if they were, catcalling me or heckling me or even saying my name whatsoever. And so I started reporting on Luigi Mangione's prison conditions as I was finding them out. And as soon as the live shot was over, that's when I turned around and they said, "The conditions suck." And so that was my confirmation. Oh my gosh, they're watching News Nation at that very moment. I pulled out my camera, I recorded, and here's more of that interaction. Take a look from earlier today.
Luigi's conditions suck! Free Luigi!
Ashley, they're going nuts in there right now watching this video on playback. This was just from a few hours ago, and here they are, 10 o'clock as promised. They said earlier today, tell Ashley Banfield that Luigi is watching at 10 o'clock. I mean, obviously, that's just a hard roast at this point because they're not near Luigi in any way, as confirmed by the Department of Corrections earlier today.
Can I ask you a favor? Can I just ask the guys, if they can hear me right now, to answer yes or no very loud? Does Luigi have television in his single cell?
No.
Unreal. They said no, right? Obviously, we have a little bit of a delay, but they're getting they're getting the questions, and they're giving us the answers. So Luigi does not have.
This is so dystopian, dude. I mean, I'm sure the imprisoned in this situation, I mean, they feel probably somewhat happy that their humanity is being recognized because they are able to communicate. But it is crazy. Like when you just like pull yourself out of the situation for a moment, it is so dystopian, dude. Having said that, however, I am reminded of what Jesse Waters was fantasizing about the other day, saying, "Oh, if Luigi doesn't get the death penalty, I'm sure they'll handle him in prison." How out of touch are you with the average person that you can't even comprehend that, like, this dude is not going to be treated as a bad guy in prison? He's not going to get the Chomo treatment. He's not going to get the child predator treatment in prison. Like, why the would they kill them? I suspect that the broad majority of people in prison come from very dire financial circumstances, which means that they most likely have immediate family members who've been over by the same healthcare providers.
Investigations say the ghost gun the suspect was allegedly carrying when he was arrested matches the shell casings found at the shooting scene. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky is here with more. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, Michael. The evidence really does seem to be falling into place now against Luigi Mangione, and the problem for authorities at the moment may not be the case, but how the suspect is being perceived.
This morning, police say the case against suspected killer Luigi Mangione is getting stronger.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown at the scene of the homicide.
Investigators also say they've matched Mangione's fingerprints to prints lifted from a water bottle and granola bar wrapper found near where United Healthcare Chief Brian Thompson was gunned down. The 26-year-old remains locked up in Pennsylvania, challenging his extradition to New York. Prosecutors are undeterred.
You confident you have the right guy in the shooting of Brian Thompson?
Well, I'll start by saying, obviously, this is a profoundly disturbing, as we've alleged, murder.
I should have never saved District Attorney Alvin Bragg in Walking Dead. At the time, I thought he's going to put Trump behind bars, Boy, was that a mistake. AJ.
We would not charge the person if we didn't think it was the person. And we're prepared to go forward.
Investigators have started interviewing relatives, hoping to understand how a high school valedictorian and Ivy League graduate from a prominent Maryland family became an accused killer. His grandfather was a self-made millionaire real estate developer. The family owns a resort, country clubs, radio stations, and donates to health care companies in Baltimore. The Mangione Aquatic Center at Loyola University is named for the family.
They had a lot of clout and have a lot of clout to this day.
Thompson's murder prompting backlash against the healthcare and insurance industries. The NYPD is alarmed the alleged killer is seen by some as a martyr, inspiring these wanted posters outside the New York Stock Exchange with the names of other corporate executives. A new law enforcement bulletin obtained by ABC News includes...
Yeah, they're going to arrest people that even post those posters, by the way, for sure. Because there's so much of it out there, I don't know if they can go after every single person online, but they'll try to pick some people and make an example out of them that, no, you can't be saying shit like that. Now, what's really interesting about this is putting out like terroristic threats against trans people or whatever. That doesn't put you directly in the ire of federal law enforcement or law enforcement at all. As long as you are directing your anger at those who have less than you, you're good. If you're Tom Cotton, you can openly call for Black Lives Matter protesters to be gunned down. If you're Tom Cotton, you can call directly for climate change protesters to be ran over or to be tossed off the side of a bridge if they are pro-Palestinian protesters or blocking traffic. No censuring there, no nothing. No repercussions whatsoever. God forbid you put a poster up of publicly available information. You can be libs of TikTok and encourage actual bomb threats over and over again, doxing and putting random working class people in harm's way because libs of TikTok has decided that a teacher is bad for being queer. That's not unacceptable at all. As a matter of fact, that's very acceptable and good. You should do more of that. But God forbid you post a photo of something that's publicly available, a photo of a CEO. Ooh, you can't do that. Please, for the love of God, don't turn the crosshairs up at people at the tippy top of society. Don't. What are you doing? Keep fighting amongst yourselves. Also, manufacturing consent machine going brrrr. We're going to look at these incredible articles real quick. The way that mainstream media is now also trying to, reel back on how excited the broad majority of Americans were on this, or at least how little they cared about a healthcare CEO dying because of their immediate family members. Many of the employees I've talked to share the public anger, which New York Times might realize if they bothered to talk to anyone outside of management. Yeah. Health insurance workers fearful amid public anger after slaying of CEO. If you're actually a health insurance worker at a lower level, if you're a pencil pusher, if you're a paper filer, you probably get f***ed over by your healthcare company too. You probably have family members that have been f***ed over by your healthcare company. So you probably understand. I wouldn't assume that you have a real interest in like defending your upper management, let alone your bosses. But of course, New York Times has to make it seem like this is a universal problem for all working class, the sympathetic figures. They understand that there is not a lot of sympathy for the CEOs, so they have to universalize it to say like, no, you don't understand. He's like these doctors that are fearful now, these nurses that are fearful, the random paper pushers, the random paper filers, or the pencil pushers. Those are the fearful guys. They're going to get killed. The difference, however, is that if someone who's in customer service was outed, doxxed, persecuted, and murdered by a vicious person who has also been hurt by the insurance industry, you wouldn't have this kind of press coverage. Well, you might now, just so they can say, oh, look, see, they're going after everybody. But in the past, there would be no such interest in that sort of thing. There would be no bridges being shut down. There would be no manhunt for multiple weeks because you're just a f***ing worker. You're worthless. The media would not go out to bat to defend you. And even if they were to do it now, the only reason why they would do it is to defend the likes of other Brian Thompsons. And for the record, it would be completely unacceptable if someone were to do such a thing. Just so you understand, I'm not joking at all.
CEO wanted posters have been seen around the city as fears grow.
I love that they censor the face of the CEOs like this publicly available information. Yeah, dude, people will have no idea who the CEOs of companies are now. Why do that if you don't think that it's like a broad majority resentment? If your opinion is of the mind that these guys are heroes, they're profit makers, and that's a good thing. They're jobs providers. Who do you think is going to see that and do anything mean?
There's also this growing concern about the risk of a copycat, both because of the positive reaction that this has gotten online and also the level of attention that this suspect has received. And New York Police Department intel report obtained by CNN's John Miller said that the online reaction to the killing may signal an elevated threat facing executives in the near term, with the shooting itself.
Yeah, maybe if people were serious about this, they examined where this anger and resentment was coming from. I mean, this spells societal collapse, and it seems like everyone is more predisposed with defending the current order of business while simultaneously yelling at the angry people instead of looking at why they're angry, how this moment of desperation came about.
Nicholas Florco, staff writer for The Atlantic, who argues in a new post, quote, "Murder is an awful answer for healthcare anger." And he joins me now, and it's great to have you because you also used to work for—
Wow, brilliant take, man. Yeah, no shit. I like that these guys just keep saying like murder is bad over and over again. Yeah, everybody knows, man. That's kind of part of the reason why they're fucking angry. You get this like top-down approach to the subject and you look at it like, well, this is a individual act of violence. Like, why are you celebrating it? Yeah, to the person whose fucking loved ones had their insurance claims denied, so they were just like, all right, like, I'm just gonna die. Well, that's murder. Just because it is structured in a way to shelter those who are committing this act of murder, making it seem like it's just a regular part of the process, doesn't change the loss of life for the individual.
My entire career, people have been angry about health insurance, about healthcare prices. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, the amount of outpouring of support for Luigi Mangione and the amount of hate going to the United CEO is just, it's unprecedented.
Yeah, but we've seen some people say, well, the reaction that we've seen to beef up security for these CEOs or to focus on that is them focusing on the wrong issue. But in looking at that, I mean, we're also seeing people put up wanted posters with their faces. I just want to show some people who maybe aren't, you know, as prolific on social media as others, the reaction that we've seen towards the suspect here online.
This Ivy League hottie named Luigi is the Robin Hood that we never knew that we needed.
Yo, you know what's really funny about this? I think the average person, aside from like, yeah, healthcare should be free, is also literally not even focused on like the morality of the conversation at all. Like, they just don't give a shit. And they're way more predisposed with how this guy is probably framed as a patsy. Like, the average apolitical guy is like Bradley Martin, who I was talking to last night on stream. And he was like, yeah, dude, his eyebrows don't match. Like, that's what the average person is predisposed with. The media is like freaking out, being like, oh, which CEOs are next? This is like unacceptable. Don't you dare disrupt the current order of business. Like, this is not the answer. Violence is never the answer, except for the socialized murder and violence of like random people at the behest of the profit motive in our for-profit structure that we've designed that is cruel and unusual. But the average person is literally like, yeah, I think Luigi Mangione is a fall guy. The average person's like, bro, 286, bro. You see that conspiracy? It's the 286 Pokemon and the Bible verse or whatever the people are focused on in terms of the conspiracies.
I listened to Luigi's manifesto this morning 3 times and I cried. Honestly, it's beautiful and I agree with him.
At least he left a very powerful message and he highlighted how terrible the healthcare system is in America. I think he'll go down as a hero in history.
What does that say to you?
I mean, it tells me that people are really angry about the state of healthcare in this country and that they're feeling kind of hopeless. I mean, to me, what it symbolizes that people are moving towards this, you know, glorifying violence because they feel like something can't get done otherwise. I mean, I would argue, frankly, that is the absolute wrong way to go in every way possible. We know that nonviolent protest is more effective than violent protest. And I think we all should agree that killing a CEO isn't going to change anything to make our healthcare system better.
Yeah.
Wait. Did we get free healthcare? Because I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of protests on that stuff. There's even been violent protests, really, like riots. You know, Black Lives Matter protests turned into riots. That was like all the headlines. Shit just doesn't change at all until people in positions of power recognize that this is unstable.
And Senator Elizabeth Warren was facing some blowback today because when she was asked about this, she told the Huffington Post, the visceral response from people across this country who feel cheated, ripped off, and threatened by the vile practices of their insurance companies should be a warning to everyone in the healthcare system. Violence is never the answer, she said, but people can only be pushed so far. I saw some people saying, you know, that should end it. Violence is never the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Senator Warren has struggled with what a lot of us that have been talking about this have been struggling with, which is balancing both the fact that our healthcare system causes real harm and real suffering, and that murder is absolutely incorrect. The thing that I think is important to highlight is, unfortunately, Senator Warren is right in a lot of ways. We know from history that society
Bro, for the person whose immediate family member was harmed by for-profit healthcare, they look at it as like a serial killer. And as conditions worsen, especially when there's already a steady desensitization that like the average American experiences in terms of like the most horrific acts of violence, whether it be in Gaza or whether it be like the endless, senseless slaughter of children in American kindergartens and shit. Yeah, they're not going to give a fuck, dude. You can't just prime people into being like, no. Mass school shootings and mass shootings are just a part of American existence year over year because you want no solutions to gun violence, and then expect them to be like, oh, the horror, when a guy who is seen as a placeholder for their grandma dying gets popped. That's it. It's that simple. You can't have both. Like, what the expectation that people are supposed to be respectful about this is so funny to me. It's like, dude, yeah, of course they're mad, dude. What the the idea that like Elizabeth Warren, oh, it's really unacceptable that she said this. It's ridiculous.
He had been a named suspect for less than 48 hours, and yet within a fraction of that time, many in the world of social media had already made up their minds about Luigi Mangione.
I'm just eating it up because this is like regular everyday person becoming our hero, our vigilante.
Like, you think these people are card-carrying communists? The people making these TikToks and shit? Like, you think these are people who are like the proletariat must rise up and seize the means of production type people? No, not even a little bit. No, they're just regular ass people who are like, yeah, I totally get why he was pissed off. Have you ever had your insurance claims denied?
Lancy.
These types of comments angering law enforcement and public officials.
I don't care your views about healthcare companies because I don't think they're great right now either. But you do not celebrate the assassination of another human being who is just doing his job.
But interest in Mangione just continues to grow. On X, before his arrest announcement, he had just 64 followers. Now, more than 320,000 and counting. His initial 827 followers on Instagram grew exponentially Monday as we watched. By 3 o'clock, more than 32,000. An hour later, 53,000. By 5 o'clock Monday, more than 71,000 followers before that account was suspended. Many of the comments calling for his freedom and calling him a hero.
Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly, man. I'm gonna be honest. The real hero is the person who snitched, is not the message that you want to carry across. I think Elizabeth Warren has done a much better job talking about this. High school students across the country have been walking out of class in solidarity with Luigi Mangione. Yesterday, over 1,400 students walked out of school at 10 a.m. to show what we believe in. There was another thing that I wanted to cover here. AOC.
You know, taken from a diagnosis. And I think that this collective American experience, which is so twisted to have in the wealthiest nation in the world, all of that pain that people have experienced is being concentrated on this event. And it's really important that we take a step back. This is not to comment, and this is not to say that an act of violence is justified. But I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims as an act of violence against them. People go homeless over the financial devastation of...
Yep, great way to talk about it. You can say sell out AOC all day, every day. I don't give a These are the moments where she shines. Dude, you're never gonna hear a Democratic elected turn around and be like, yo, that guy was fucking based. Your dumbass will say it, and that's one thing. But obviously, a person in a position of power like this is not gonna say that. But the very fact that both AOC and Elizabeth Warren, who I have been critical of on different occasions, were very quick to say we need to seize on this opportunity to talk about like why people feel this level of resentment. That's it. That's what you got to get out of this. You're stupid for thinking that it's going to be anything more than that. She got $150,000 in donations from UHC. Okay. Do you think she's for-profit healthcare then? Considering her rhetoric here. This is a good coverage of it in the mainstream media.
Let's be honest, since we're having an honest conversation. The reality in this country is if you kill people with a gun, it is very obvious to everybody what's going on, and you're rightly deplored. And we should deplore that. If it is a more systemic kind of killing, as your social media person was saying, if people are being killed through PDF files, and through claim denial letters and through a deliberate practice of...
My brain is so broken, and I know chat is the same way, because you hear PDF files and you immediately think, oh, he's using internet speak to say pedophile, like immediately. And I hate myself for it. And God damn it, this community is so like-minded on this. Oh my God.
Of saying no to a certain form of care that you know you're going to end up granting, but if you say no, 80% of people will lose steam and not appeal successfully, and you'll only have to give it to 20% of those people, and you factor that into your balance sheet. And if that is not an incidental thing that happens or bad apples, that's actually how you make money, because the health insurance industry is an industry that doesn't really exist in many other countries because they just take care of each other as part of the society. You cannot expect to live in a society in which that rage goes nowhere, just fizzles out and dissipates. And we have to deplore violence and then be curious about where it's coming from.
Suspected in United killing was Ivy Leaguer with anti-capitalist leanings. Yeah, they're trying desperately to turn this into like a hypocritical socialist. They're desperate to make it seem like that. But I think it doesn't work. Here's what Elizabeth Warren had to say as well, by the way.
What happens when you turn this into the billionaires run it all is they get the opportunity to squeeze every last penny.
Yeah.
And look, we'll say it over and over. Violence is never the answer. This guy gets a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
Any Democratic nominee that doesn't go out to bat for a universal healthcare or soft expansion is going to be so funny in 2024. I think this party is finished. They're going to push progressives to advocate for small expansions as platform. Yeah, I think they're literally not going to do it. The Democrats are physically incapable of doing right by their constituents, or even like taking advantage of the understandable anger that people have in their hearts towards this system. And that's it. That's where we're at. I get it. Like, I know the anger that Luigi Mangione felt, and I know why people don't give a f. I get it. So no amount of finger wagging in this direction is going to cause people to change their opinions on this when their family members are being killed, you know? It's the same. This is partially what happened with the Democrats losing the goddamn election. Everyone was like, bro, wages are not competing with the price of goods. Price of goods have outpaced wage expansion. And the Democrats were like, nah, fine, dude. It's fine. Chill. People are so mad that they're like, yeah, I don't give a f that some CEO got killed. Shut the f up. Fix this goddamn healthcare. And the Democrats are like, well, best we can do is maybe if you are under the coverage of certain kinds of Medicare or certain kinds of healthcare, we will actually reduce the price of one piece of pharmaceutical product marginally, and that's the best we can do. And it's like, yeah, people don't see that. People don't care. They don't see that that's a good thing. Like, they don't see it as a marginal improvements are not going to fix it. It's the Malcolm X quote about a knife in your back. It's cool that we just had a presidential election where healthcare basically never came up. Looks like they're trying to set a precedent. Woman jailed after using shooting suspect's catchphrase as insurance company denied claim. Oh, wow. A Florida woman was charged after the police says she threatened an insurance company with the phrase delay, denied, depose. An arrest affidavit obtained by WFLA said the FBI contacted the Lakeland Police Department on Tuesday with information about an alleged threat. According to the affidavit, 42-year-old Brianna Boston used the phrase during a call with Blue Cross Blue Shield about a denied claim. Delay, denied, depose. You people are next, she allegedly said near the end of the call. The words are similar to the message left. Nice. No free speech. Oh, it's so cooked. And this is under the federal control, the last month of Democratic Party's federal control. We're so cooked. She reportedly said she used the phrase because it's what's in the news right now. Boston argues she did not own firearms and was not a danger to anyone, the affidavit said. Police concluded that she intended to use the United Healthcare CEO's homicide to her advantage. It's getting worse. It's getting worse every day. After being charged with threats to conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism, a judge set Boston's bond at $100,000. I do find that the bond of $100,000 is appropriate considering the status of our country at this point, the judge said. Wow. We're so goddamn cooked. It's not precedent. I think it's just Florida. I mean, it is precedent. It's precedent for Florida. It will have national implications. You can't have a fucking moment of weakness when the insurance company is directly fucking you. You can't turn around and be like, fuck you.